Hi everyone, welcome back to Blueprint Books, the channel where we share knowledge about holistic personal development through great books. Today, I would like to share with you a very bold book. Bold in a sense that it directly points out one thing to you and me. We might be incredibly uninformed in this day and age. An era of information, explosion, technology, and artificial intelligence that is continuously evolving. But this boldness is backed by research and statistical data. If you want to surpass yourself, accept your limitations, and be ready to break them to make a simple yet essential change, which can then help upgrade your life in this new era. Let's explore today's book, Head in the Cloud by William Poundstone. The title of this book implies that our minds are often clouded, preventing us from making progress without our knowledge. Now, let's listen together. Are you an uninformed person in today's society? The author has a point. This is an era where people are most lacking in knowledge and understanding. You might question that. Today is the golden age of knowledge. People are learning, paying for courses more than ever, far more than people did in the past, learning throughout their lives. So how could this be the era of the most ignorant? It's true that today people have easier access to knowledge, but at the same time, the volume and depth of various fields of knowledge are expanding rapidly. This is an era of knowledge explosion. No individual, no matter how hardworking or intelligent, can fully grasp even a narrow field. Moreover, the certainty of knowledge is gradually fading. Knowledge is constantly being updated. What is true today may be false tomorrow. Compared to this vast ocean of knowledge, without any fixed certainty, our learning speed is too slow, but we rarely take the initiative to seek or update our knowledge. So, what is the consequence? People in modern society are gradually becoming ignorant in many fields. According to a survey in September 2010, 41% of American adults could not name the vice president, 20% thought lasers worked by focusing waves, and 58% didn't know who wrote Moby Dick. Among them, 4% thought the author was Stephen King. This shows the widespread ignorance in American society. The author and the research team conducted a large-scale survey in the United States of America, with questions designed to determine whether people met the standard of being knowledgeable. Here are some sample questions. You can test whether you know the answers. Questions like, where was the cradle of human civilization? What continent is Egypt in? Who was the first to use hieroglyphic writing? Why is it day for us but night elsewhere in the world? Why is Pluto called a dwarf planet? What did the Industrial Revolution mean? Which route allowed Christianity to spread to the Near East? Why is the heart such a special organ? What is the signal light called when it comes from land? What is the significance of the 4th of July? These are basic general knowledge questions. Some might say they are easy, but the situation is not as optimistic as that. The few who answered correctly could only get 7/10. However, many will protest. These facts aren't practical and can be looked up on Google. So what's the big deal about remembering or not? If you think this way, it's likely that you are falling into what's called the Google effect, a psychological phenomenon where people rely on online search tools. Knowing you can easily find this information on the internet, you may not feel the need to remember it. It's true that with a simple click, you can look up what you need. But we need to understand that knowledge has a hierarchy. One layer builds on another. When you lack foundational knowledge, you can't understand higher layers, and even if you can look it up, you won't fully comprehend it. Furthermore, in daily life, you have to make countless big and small decisions. Every choice requires understanding to evaluate and judge wisely. Without foundational knowledge, even with the internet, you can't recognize your mistakes. In the book, there is a case like this. Currently, many scientists believe that gluten may lead to diabetes. Therefore, brands highlight that their products are gluten-free. Now, imagine you have two bags of potato chips in front of you. One says gluten-free and costs more, while the other has no label. Which one would you choose? Most people would choose the gluten-free one because they saw online that gluten-free products are healthier. But this is a wrong choice due to a lack of understanding. Gluten doesn't exist in potatoes, it's only in wheat and barley. What's worse is that there's a lot of knowledge you cannot find online. Without foundational knowledge, you won't even know something exists, so how could you search for it? The author calls this mental void super ignorance. Super ignorance means not knowing that you don't know, or in other words, not realizing your ignorance. Someone who stays in this state of super ignorance for too long will fall into the Dunning-Kruger effect. This is a behavioral paradox where the least competent people often make the most inaccurate assessments of their own abilities. One study involved a large group of students who were asked to grade their own exams. The results showed that the top scorers accurately predicted their results and even modestly lowered their own grades, while the lowest scorers gave themselves much higher grades. You can observe the same in real life. For example, many bad drivers are the ones who are most confident in their driving skills. This isn't just arrogance, it's the result of falling into the Dunning-Kruger effect due to super ignorance. With an empty mind and no tools for self-assessment, they have delusions about themselves and make wrong judgments. You may get stuck in a fixed cultural pattern, controlled by it, unable to recognize the true state of your life within that culture. From there, you easily become complacent, thinking your current environment and yourself are good enough, with no need for further improvement. It's precisely because of this super ignorance and complacency that people tend to justify their lack of knowledge. The author calls this ignorance rationalization. One clear sign of ignorance rationalization is the tendency to believe that there's no need to learn or explore certain knowledge if the cost outweighs the perceived benefits. The cost here could be time, effort, or resources, and the benefits are usually measured in money. For example, many people only read self-help books, books about success or wealth building. Books on theory, fiction, or philosophy are seen as less useful. This has led to the deep-rooted idea in society that being excellent at one profession is better than knowing many professions. But is this really true? To answer this question, the author conducted several surveys and studies to explore whether people truly need to learn broad knowledge and how it affects the quality of life, work, and thinking. The results showed that in this age of easily accessible information, people with wide-ranging knowledge in literature, history, geography, encyclopedic knowledge, culture, finance, or sports tend to live wealthier, healthier, and happier lives. Why should you upgrade your foundational knowledge in various fields? In fact, people lacking broad knowledge often face more economic difficulties. Researchers selected a large group of people, all aged 35, with equivalent university degrees. These individuals answered questions from various fields. The results showed that the group who answered fewer questions correctly had an average income of about $40,000 per year. In contrast, those who answered all questions correctly earned $95,000 per year, a huge difference of $55,000 or 2.1 times higher. Why such a large gap? The main reason is that those with broad knowledge tend to be more curious and enjoy exploring. Their curiosity drives them to understand many fields, and as a result, they are more likely to find opportunities to increase their income and perform better at work. As their income increases, they have more opportunities to expand their knowledge. This creates a positive cycle of learning. The second reason is that when a person lacks internal knowledge, they will also distance themselves from a happy life. Happiness is related to income. This is the conclusion of a study by Daniel Goleman, the Nobel-winning psychologist. He found that Americans are happiest when they earn $75,000 a year. If income increases too much, happiness doesn't improve and might even decrease slightly. However, people with low incomes are likely to experience more sadness and stress. As shown in the survey above, those with broader knowledge and an income of $95,000 a year are able to maintain a high level of happiness. In contrast, those with a foundation of ignorance and an income of only $40,000 a year face a life filled with pressure and insecurity. Another study shows that a person who is too uninformed is more likely to do unethical things to become wealthy. A survey asked whether people would press a button to become a billionaire, but in doing so, they would have to kill an unknown person without anyone knowing it was them. Although this sounds absurd, life follows a principle called the 1/5 rule. That means, no matter how absurd it seems, 20% of people would agree to press the button or do so. In reality, statistics show that 20% of people in that group chose to press the button, and they were the ones who scored lowest in the comprehensive knowledge test. The third reason is that people with solid general knowledge tend to have better health because they understand basic health knowledge, like the relationship between HB bacteria and stomach ulcers, what carbohydrates are, or how gluten affects the body. Because of this, they are not easily swayed or confused by the constantly changing health information on the internet and know how to choose health methods that are scientific and suitable for their personal condition. Finally, one very important point we must face. The lack of knowledge not only affects your personal life but also negatively impacts others, the community, and the world. The author conducted a survey with 16 general knowledge questions, 2 of which were about the location of Ukraine. After the knowledge quiz, there was a question about political views. Do you agree with building a wall on the border to stop illegal immigration? The results showed that the more people answered correctly, the more they opposed building the wall. On the other hand, those who couldn't find Ukraine on the map tended to agree with stopping homeless people from entering. The truth is that a lack of knowledge, especially geographical, historical, and social knowledge, directly affects a person's political views and policy decisions. Many people are unaware of their own knowledge gaps, not knowing how ignorant they really are, yet still boldly express their opinions and vote. This leads to poor choices that impact the future of a country and even the world. Even worse, in an era where everyone can hide behind keyboards and exercise free speech, the ignorance of many people can unintentionally destroy a life. In 2015, Jay Brancom posted a behind-the-scenes photo of famous director Steven Spielberg while filming Jurassic Park on Facebook. In the picture, the director is sitting next to a triceratops. The caption read, "A cruel hunter sitting proudly next to his newly killed prey." This photo quickly spread and was shared over 30,000 times globally, receiving thousands of angry comments. People were outraged, asking why a famous director would hunt and kill a triceratops. You may laugh at this absurdity, as triceratops went extinct long ago, but this is the truth about super ignorance. Many didn't understand what triceratops meant and thought the director had killed some strange animal. This is just one example of how people don't know the truth about information on the internet. Anything you say in your ignorance can seriously affect the mental world of others and yourself. This is the global ignorance effect in the age of technology and information explosion. So, what is the core way to break free from super ignorance? The most essential way to break free from super ignorance and build a broad knowledge foundation that helps you live wisely and happily is to start by grasping key knowledge points. Learning deeply and building systematic knowledge in a specific field is important, but that is not the focus of this book. The focus is on the bold advice it offers. Learn more complexly with diverse knowledge. Even if you only know a little about many things, that's okay. It may sound strange, but it makes sense for us in this era. Because learning in the past was to deal with what was known, but learning today is to prepare for the unknown. Everyone faces unique problems that no one can predict the answers to. If learning in the past was for exams, today's best way to learn is to think like a detective solving a case. As a detective, you never ignore clues. These clues, no matter how small, are valuable and can help you solve the case. The more perspectives you have, the more you can break free from the blind spots in your mind and open up new directions. The more knowledge points you have, the better. You can continue searching online for answers and use them as a key to unlock new knowledge. Anyone who understands this will choose a breakthrough method of learning as a stepping stone to their development in the digital age. The author advises that, for each field, we should know at least 15 to 20 basic concepts. For example, in finance, you could learn about inflation and compound interest. In science, you might explore entropy and gravity. In history, you could focus on World War II and the Cold War. In psychology, you could study herd mentality and inferiority complexes. In health and medicine, you could learn about antibiotics and the concept of balance in Eastern medicine. These concepts are the clues that help you find your way. Only when you have these clues can you effectively use search tools, reference books, and academic articles. Without basic concepts, those pieces of information will just be scattered snippets, difficult to connect, and often easily misunderstood in context. You can also accumulate more knowledge clues by connecting with knowledgeable people in various fields. This connection doesn't have to mean becoming close friends with them. Simply maintaining a simple connection or following them online will do. When you face difficulties, competent people know exactly who they need to learn from and who holds important clues. This is how they can quickly acquire useful information or solutions. In contrast, those who lack competence often become confused, stumbling through challenges, trying to find answers in a deadlock. Now, let's move on to the second step. To break free from super ignorance, don't just browse, memorize. As mentioned earlier, the Google effect can make you quickly forget information that's easily found online. A typical example of the Google effect is memorizing by taking photos. Many students like to take pictures of lecture slides because it gives them a sense of security. They think they can review them later. They don't even need to pay attention in class since they've saved the slides on their phones. But check your phone, how many pictures of slides have you never looked at again? The most effective method is not to take pictures right away. Focus on listening and keeping up with the lecture. Taking notes by hand is even more effective than snapping photos. Similarly, when enhancing your understanding, don't just look for clues, make sure to pay attention and commit them to memory. If you only stop at searching, you'll still be dependent on technology. Use the tools as an extension of your mind, but don't let them control your memory. For example, after searching, you can take notes and restate the definitions in your own words, then review them periodically. By doing this, you not only understand what the knowledge is, but also grasp its essence. The most important thing is that you'll be able to react when needed. Another equally important way to break free from super ignorance is to develop your language skills. The book presents research showing that people who pronounce words correctly and have good spelling tend to earn higher incomes. The most direct way to improve language skills is to fix misused words and spelling mistakes while expanding your vocabulary by reading a variety of books, especially literature or novels. You can even start by keeping a daily journal. This is because language is not only a tool for expression, but also a tool for thinking. The richer and more accurate your language skills, the easier it is to grasp the essence of problems. On the contrary, when a person's speech is vague, their thinking is often unclear as well. As Albert Einstein once said, if you can't explain something simply, you don't understand it well enough. When your language is precise and coherent, your thinking and communication abilities become clearer. Finally, after all the advice in this book, what are your thoughts? Some might think that the message isn't new. It's still about encouraging continuous learning and developing thinking. It's true that in the past, many people promoted the idea of developing multidimensional thinking, such as Carol Dweck, a famous psychologist who introduced the concept of developmental thinking, urging us to learn broadly to overcome fixed mindsets. Robert Dilts, the expert in cognitive thinking, proposed the 6 thinking hats model. Charlie Munger encouraged people to develop interdisciplinary thinking. But all of them share one principle. In order to develop multidimensional thinking, one needs to dig deeper. These are great methods, but are not for the masses, as they require a solid knowledge, foundation, and perseverance through continuous reading of books across various fields, as well as practicing critical thinking. The big difference in this book is its accessibility. The method here is suitable for everyone. Whether you have a weak or strong knowledge base, whether you have a college degree or not, as long as you have a digital device and access to search tools or AI, you can update general knowledge for yourself. These tools don't require deep learning. Even shallow knowledge is fine, as long as you accumulate valuable interdisciplinary knowledge. They guide you to explore more knowledge online, to validate information, and most importantly, to ignite your curiosity. If your knowledge foundation is not strong, connecting diverse knowledge points will become a life-changing learning method. If you are already an expert in a certain field, constantly expanding and understanding various fields will help you break free from fixed thinking patterns, reach new heights, seize new opportunities, and improve your quality of life. The author of this book is the most vivid example of this journey from ordinary to extraordinary. Even though he's over 60, he is still committed to lifelong learning. He started with physics at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, but later expanded into many other fields such as mathematics, sociology, management, political science, and even literature. The author has written over 14 books on a variety of topics and styles. Each book makes readers think deeply. I hope that the content shared today will inspire you with an endless thirst for knowledge. I wish you all a bright path toward enriched knowledge, living more wisely, prosperously, and freely. Take advantage of the development of technology and AI to master your own mind, rather than being enslaved by digital tools, herd mentality, or the desire for wealth. Learn a little more each day, understand a little more each day. Though small, when accumulated, it creates a compound effect that will completely change your life. These simple steps can also contribute to breaking the wall of global ignorance from its roots. Thank you for listening to Blueprint Books, the channel that shares knowledge for holistic personal development through great books. If you found today's video helpful, please share it with those who need it. Support me with a like, hit follow, and turn on the notification bell to catch my latest videos. If you have any thoughts or feelings, feel free to share them in the comments below. Thank you again, goodbye, and I'll see you in the next videos.